Good afternoon, everyone. If you're not seated yet, if you could find a spot, we'd be ready to begin. Ooh, that was quick. Thank you. I'm Carrie Murphy. I'm Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications. You know, last year when we did the State of the City, it was a very small group and everybody was socially distant and wearing a mask. So it's really great to see everyone here today. So I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to introduce Mayor Stothert to present the State of the City.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is good to see you all here in person today, so thank you all for coming. President of the City Council, Pete Festerson, and council members that are here today, and guests and citizens of Omaha, it's really a privilege to be with you today and to honor and present the annual State of the City address. This is, I always say I give a lot of speeches during the year, but my two most important ones are this one and the budget, and so I really appreciate you all being here. The state of Omaha is strong and resilient, and it's focused on the future. For the last 2 years, the citizens of Omaha have endured health, financial, employment, educational, and family struggles that are without comparison in recent history. Getting to this point has been filled with hardship due to COVID-19. We navigated through the pandemic to protect public health, our economy, and of course, our citizens. We developed a series of actions necessary for the city's recovery, prioritized financial assistance for our citizens, city support for community programs, resources to restart our important tourism and event industry, and protecting our first responders and maintaining essential services. And we achieved all of these goals. We are now well into 2022, the year of recovery, reinvestment, and rebuilding. Omaha is positioned for unprecedented growth in population, employment, reputation, and world-class initiatives. We are hopeful that the worst is behind us. There are encouraging signs: the falling number of COVID cases, effective vaccines now, and our improved responses. I know I speak for our community when I say we are ready and prepared for life as we knew it. With the help of significant state and federal funding, we are committed to successful recovery. When Congress passed the CARES Act in 2020, Omaha did not receive direct funding. Working with Douglas County and the state of Nebraska, we secured $60 million for eligible public safety expenses. Later, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. Omaha will receive $112 million, and half came last May. We will receive the remaining half this next spring. The primary use of these federal funds is to help local governments replace lost revenue caused by the pandemic. Unlike many cities and counties that focused on their own financial recovery, most of Omaha's ARPA money will go directly into our community where the need is great and the need is urgent. We have partnered with the United Way and Omaha Community Foundation to administer $15 million to nonprofit organizations. We will prioritize basic needs such as food, housing, services for our homeless, and mental health services. We will also fund violence prevention and intervention programs and job training programs. By July, we intend to be distributing money to qualifying organizations. We created a stimulus program to help our hotel industry prepare for the return of our convention and tourism business. Dozens of hotels have qualified for this program. We will send a funding request to the City Council for approval in 4 to 6 weeks, totaling more than $4 million. We will also make a substantial investment in affordable housing with our partner Front Porch Investments. This program will be funded with $20 million of ARPA funding and $20 million philanthropic match. We also identified a third funding source to add another $20 million to this program, making it our largest program funded with ARPA dollars. Our community partners make these opportunities all possible. So thank you to United Way President and CEO Shauna Forsberg, Omaha Community Foundation President CEO Donna Cush, and Front Porch Executive Director Meredith Dillon. I know you are all three here, so could you please stand and so we could recognize our partnerships. Thank you all for the work you do. Many in our community who need help will benefit greatly from these programs, so again, thank you. Quick math, though, will tell you that we still have a lot of money to spend. Once the rest of the money is in the bank next spring, we will have more details on the affordable housing initiatives and how we plan to use the remaining funds. We continue to see tremendous need for help with rent and utility bills. In the last year, Omaha has received approximately $100 million for assistance for those who qualify. The Metro Area Continuum of Care for the Homeless, our MATCH, administers this program and distributes the funds for us. To date, we have already provided nearly $50 million of emergency aid. And there are many who still need help, and the money is still available. We have a September 2022 deadline to complete this program, so I encourage anyone who is eligible to please apply. As important as COVID recovery is, public safety is still our primary responsibility. Like nearly all major cities, Omaha experienced a spike in overall crime as the pandemic started in 2020. Despite that, the number of violent crimes and homicide rate dropped last year in Omaha. Chief Schmatter is very confident that we are on our way back to pre-pandemic levels. In the first 3 months of 2022, we have recorded 6 homicides, which is pretty amazing. Other public safety improvements for our citizens will see greater emphasis on the police co-responder program to help those who are in crisis. Our city prosecutor will expand the mental health diversion program to help mentally ill people avoid the cycle of incarceration. And we will expand our restorative justice program to make more people eligible to participate. Citizen complaints against our officers and the number of internal affairs investigations are the lowest in many, many years. And in 2021, citizens did not bring a single appeal to the Citizen Complaint Review Board. In June, Omaha firefighters will begin moving into a new station at 34th and Q Street. We are in the planning stages now for an additional fire station in the growing neighborhoods of Northwest Omaha and a new public safety headquarters that will house both fire and police. In the summer of 2020, I announced a series of actions and developed a strategic plan to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion in city government. We named a community advisory board, an employee advisory board. We hired Keith Station to serve as a deputy chief of staff for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The initial results include development of a 3-year strategic plan, establishment of an employee resource group to encourage engagement for all city employees, and a stronger diverse membership on city boards and commissions. This year, we will begin a diversity and inclusion training program for all of our city employees in partnership with the National League of Cities. 2 years ago, we proposed one of the most aggressive proposals ever to repair Omaha's aging streets. Voters overwhelmingly said yes to a $200 million bond issue creating the Street Preservation Fund. Since then, we have spent nearly $80 million on new street repair and resurfacing. This year, we plan at least 50 additional road repair projects because of the bond issue passing. This program is really making a difference as we expected and as we promised it would. In 2019, if you all remember that winter, it was one of the worst pothole years in history. And we received over 40,000 pothole complaints in 2019. In the first 3 months of this year, we have received just over 500. So you could see that has made quite a difference already. While weather and other factors do contribute to road deterioration, there is no doubt that the improved condition of our roads is due in large part to our concrete repairs that we are doing on our roads throughout the city. And I want to thank the voters and the City Council for your ongoing support. Even though we are beginning year 3 of this work, we have not implemented the levy increase that were authorized by the voters at the same time. To keep this momentum going, we recommend, and the City Council approved, several bond proposals that will appear on the primary election ballot in May. One proposal will authorize $120 million for the next phase of the street preservation program to continue with street repairs. And again, this will happen without the voter-approved tax increase. The other 5 bond issues that will be on the ballot will fund programs in our capital improvement program, which include transportation, public safety, public facilities, parks, and environmental or sewer bonds. When approved by the voters, we then can move forward with our plans for many important and exciting community projects. And we will also manage this bond issue that will be on the ballot without a tax increase. For over 20 years, civic and elected leaders have pursued with passion ways to reinvest and rebuild Omaha's urban core. Some, like the Jean Leahy Mall, First National Tower, our convention and sports facilities, Heartland of America Park, uniquely enrich downtown in our urban core. We are now at a point of historic transition, and what will be created in the next 3 years and enjoyed for decades will be truly remarkable. These include the reopening of the Jean Leahy Mall July 1st, amazing improvements to Heartland of America Park and Lewis and Clark Landing. Both will reopen in 2023. All parts of the Omaha Riverfront Revitalization Project, these public and recreational spaces will be absolutely world-class. The Kiewit Luminarium, now under construction, will also open in 2023. The $100 million privately funded center will inspire lifelong interest in careers in technology, engineering, and science. It will help everyone, especially our youth, see their great potential that is in the world before them. In January, we announced Mutual of Omaha's plan to build a new downtown headquarters. This $443 million project will change our city, retain a Fortune 500 company and their teammates, and create an enormous economic boost for downtown Omaha. We are also moving forward with the streetcar, and Omaha is ready. We need the streetcar to begin to connect our city, including all of those world-class projects that I just described. The framework for the streetcar project is our Urban Core Housing and Mobility Redevelopment Plan. It focuses on 3 significant areas: transit and mobility, affordable housing, and job growth. Our goals include adding 1,000 affordable housing units in the next 20 years. The Chamber's Urban Core Committee recently released its own strategic plan, which builds on the momentum that is already underway. The Chamber has provided tremendous leadership on urban core development for years, and I thank them for that. The list of developments planned underway is really very, very impressive. The Mercantile, the Millwork District, the Builders District, Blackstone, the Capitol District, and the Civic Auditorium site, just to name a few. On the northern border of our core, Creighton University has and will continue to make important investments in its campus, attracting students from around the country who later choose to stay in Omaha and begin their careers. Over the next 3 years, Creighton plans to complete another $250 million in facilities and academics, athletics, and student and Jesuit residences. Omaha's core is rapidly becoming an urban neighborhood, an entertainment destination, and a center for learning. A strategic plan should be equal parts practical and aspirational, and this plan has both and looks long into the future. The city's role is to be a good partner. The expected growth in the urban core, residents and workers, requires planning and amenities and services. We are preparing now to open the new downtown branch library. In its study of Omaha Public Library facilities and the resulting recommendation, the nationally known library consulting firm Himmel and Wilson said public libraries are important for economic revitalization and community transformation. The 14th and Jones location is exactly what we needed and meets the recommendations and our goals. It will provide excellent library branch services in a reimagined library designed for today's library patrons. We all should be excited about the interest of Heritage Omaha to invest in a new central public library at 72nd and Dodge. And again, we see the incredible support of our donors and our philanthropic community. Our public libraries are tremendous community assets. We have an opportunity to create new, modern facility, resources, and services. I encourage everyone to provide their input by completing the survey online or available at all library branches or attending the open public house on April 7th. Along with the reinvestment in our urban core, many other projects are signs of unique and vital progress and innovation. These include the Heartland Preserve in West Omaha, nearly 500 acres. It's described as one of the largest urban developments in the country. Carmen Tapio plans for a new headquarters for her company, North End Telecommunication or Teleservices at 24th and Lake, rebuilding this historic intersection. Habitat for Humanity will invest in the former Wintergreen Apartments near 51st and Sorensen Parkway, building new family housing. And the redevelopment of the Southside Terrace Public Housing in South Omaha. We have applied for a $50 million federal grant to rebuild the neighborhood and create opportunities for home ownership, employment, and education. The pandemic certainly did not stop growth in Omaha. In 2021, our planning department issued more than 46,000 building permits and 14,000 permits, and 14,000 of those were building permits for a total valuation of over $1 billion. So we didn't stop. So what's the next big thing? Well, we believe it's Project Next. Project Next is a transformational partnership to create federal all-hazard response facility at University of Nebraska Medical Center. Nebraska Medicine and UNMC are offering state-of-the-art teaching hospital and a federally funded medical space to respond to a variety of hazards. The expertise in infectious disease and biopreparedness available in Omaha makes our medical center a priority choice. The city has pledged up to $93 million over the next 10 years to Project Next, to include infrastructure and parking needs for UNMC, new space on Saddle Creek. The state of Nebraska has pledged over $300 million, and our outstanding philanthropic community has raised considerable funding for Project Next. Project Next will create 41,000 construction jobs and 8,700 permanent, well-paying jobs, which is pretty amazing. The economic impact to our city for Project Next is projected to be above $1 billion a year. While federal approval is still required, we are working with our partners to do all we can so that Project Next will happen here in Omaha. 16 months ago, we implemented a new trash and recycling contract with FCC Environmental. We fundamentally changed the way trash and recycling services are provided in Omaha, and we are very pleased that recycling has increased dramatically, 55% in the first year. This change, along with our new recycling processing contract, is good for the environment, it's good for the city budget, and it's saving us considerable tax dollars every year. We will soon begin our review of the Omaha City Charter. Our charter is our constitution. It's the legal structure in which our city government operates. The charter requires a citizen-led review every 10 years. This effort this year will be led by 15 volunteers, 8 appointed by me and 7 appointed by the City Council. Our last Charter Convention Committee in 2023 did outstanding work that led to important suggestions, and then the public voted on them. Among my charter recommendations this year will be to expand the City Council to 12 members and enact City Council term limits. April Fool. You know what, I was just, actually, I was just seeing if you were all still awake down there. Pete was. No, not that, you know that's not gonna happen. But I will tell you one, I've got to get in the city charter change. Whenever they address the mayor, they address him as he. That's still in there. That might be one of mine. But anyway, this is my 9th address for the state of the city. And each year, I describe Omaha's incredible growth. I think I always think of one person that has been such a valuable partner and an advocate for the city of Omaha, and a true friend of mine and all of us, and that is David Brown, who's here today. He is president and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber. David's here today with his family and his chamber family, and I would like to publicly thank you, David. David has announced his retirement from the chamber, and we will definitely miss him. David started this job with the chamber over 19 years ago after moving here from South Carolina, and it is a job with great expectations. And to say he has succeeded is just an understatement. There are so many projects here that we see every day that David made happen that have led to economic growth in our city, job growth, and success for business owners. We've all benefited from his great leadership. I especially appreciate the work David has done to bring employment and development to our more economic challenged neighborhoods. His leadership skills were just what Omaha needed 19 years ago. Engage partners to get things done, plan for success, take risks, don't fear failure, set high goals, hire good people, communicate clearly. You've done all of that, and David, we wish you the best in your retirement. Of course, as he's sinking down lower in his chair, I said, you got to come back up here. But David, to show our community's appreciation for everything you've done, and I will miss you. David and I have breakfast about every 2 weeks, and we discuss everything. But we will miss you. But I do want to show my appreciation by presenting you with the key of the city. I never tell people what this opens, but I present. Again, thank you, David, and all of the chamber. There's a lot of members of the chamber here today to honor David. So your team will remain vital to our recovery and reinvestment and rebuilding Omaha. So I'm so glad you are all here today. So it has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your mayor and summarize the state of the city for 2022. So let's keep working together to build the best Omaha we possibly can. Thank you all for being here today. Thanks.
Refreshments up on the third floor.
Say it again. Okay.
Third floor refreshments. Not a happy hour, but refreshments.
Can I get one of the council too? Sure. And your family. I'm good, okay, right? I'm good.
Yes,
All right, thank you.